Hey everyone, it's Mega Champ once again. So, I did finally finish another game. That obviously being what you see on the screen as usual when I do these full thoughts videos. AI the Somnium Final Files nirvanA initiative. So once again, before I get into this, although I don't want to ramble too much, got to try to cut back on that. There have been a lot of things going on recently, but anything I really say is not going to make that much of a difference. Blue Point got closed by Sony and PlayStation. Yell and scream and call it out all you want, and you have every right to do so. It's not going to bring them back. What's done is done. There's lots of blame to go around. And oh boy, I'm just so excited for these upcoming Xbox games that are all going to be made by AI. That's just so great. It is what it is. Speaking of AI, oh good god, man. Okay, so obviously this is another full thoughts video as I did complete AI the Somnium Final Files. I can't even say that right. nirvanA initiative. Look at this. That's so clever. Anyway, the sequel to AI the Somnium Files, obviously, the original game that I played around the end of last year that was so goddamn good that it won my personal game of the year runner up. That's how good it was. So this is the sequel to that, and the question is it just as good? Is it worse? Is it the same? Well, I suppose you'll have to wait and see when it comes to that. It did come out in 2022, so I'm extremely late on it. Extremely. But I'm extremely late on a lot of things. I didn't find out about the franchise until a couple years ago. Keep in mind, I'm like around 2 years behind on games, so that should give you an idea as to when I found out about it. Not much else to really say other than my regular spiel of this is just my own personal feelings, thoughts, experiences, and opinions on this game. Everyone's gonna have a different feeling and a different experience. You will have a different opinion, a different experience. So, I'm allowed to have my opinion and my different experience. As usual, to the best of my ability, though I am clearly no expert by any means in any way whatsoever, I will do my best to go over the story of the game, the characters of the game, the world and setting of the game, the graphics, and the gameplay. It's just the way that I personally feel. I'm not an expert. Only a few people can call themselves experts, and even that is kind of iffy at times. Not much else to really say here. So, yeah. So, the story of AI, the Somnium Files nirvanA initiative. Well, it's not really all that different from the first game. I mean, obviously it is, but it takes place 3 months after the first game, so 3 months after the new Cyclops serial killings, if you recall that from my previous video on AI the Somnium Files. It does have some timeline jumping, though, going back and forth in time, so to speak. 6 years is kind of the sort of gimmick here, or the general consensus. 6 years ago, as you play as one character named Ryuki, who is right here, and his AI ball. I can't talk for some reason, sorry. AI ball companion Tama right here in its mascot form, and right here in its other form. Yeah, that's let's not talk about that. And then the present, quote unquote, which is 6 years later, and you play as another character, Mizuki. Yes, remember Mizuki? She's a protagonist in this game. Mizuki Date and her AI ball partner, Aiba, which you will recall from the first game, who was Date's partner. So yeah, there are returning characters. Obviously, we'll get into that here in a bit. Yeah, you play as Mizuki, Date's adopted daughter, or do you? No, you do. And I'm absolutely not trying to foreshadow or hint at something. I swear. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Once again, as usual, just like the first game, it's another murder mystery and visual novel, or VN for short. Point and click style with some 3D explorative sections. There are a bit more explorative sections than the last game, though. So you do it. So you do it a lot more than just in the Somnium, the Somniums. This time, if you recall that from my last video about AI, the Somnium Files. So that's great. Uh, they at least innovated on that, so you got to give them credit there, allowing some more 3D exploration. Since, for some reason people think visual novels are boring, why are you playing them then? Not the point, I guess. To the surprise of literally nobody, there's another serial killer in this game. Not another serial killer. I mean, what did you expect? What did you expect? The last game also had a serial killer that you have to track down and capture. This time, they do their wonderful job. Is that a job? They kill people by cutting people in half vertically. Ouch. Yikes. In this game, it's known as the quote-unquote HB case, or the half-body serial killings. That is what they are known as. You go back and forth in time with different characters as you investigate crime scenes, talk to potential witnesses and suspects, and so on in order to stop terror. Yes, that's the serial killer name for them in this game. And stop their nirvanA initiative. Oh god, not the name of the game. Anything but the name of the game. And the overarching theme as well. There's really not much for me to really say here. And it is kind of hard in this particular case when it comes to this particular game to not give spoilers, but I am going to try my best to do that, to give it to not have it be as spoilery or as spoiler free as possible, basically. But believe it or not, I do have some criticisms, so don't have a heart attack. When it comes to some of the things they did in the story, although it's really just one thing. That's it. I don't have much to say in terms of criticisms about this entire game, honestly, other than a couple of things, but just one thing in particular that bothered me the most. One of the overarching themes and plot lines of the game, unfortunately, involves a conspiracy theory. Yes, you are hearing this correctly. You heard me correctly. Specifically, the one conspiracy theory that claims that the entire world is a simulation, quote unquote. In other words, it's also known as the Matrix conspiracy theory from that movie and film franchise, which is where it got its name from, obviously. Where everything is supposedly fake, quote unquote, and we are living in a simulation, quote unquote. Oh boy. I really have to talk about conspiracy theories, huh? Why? Why? Look, conspiracy, as far as I'm concerned, and this is clearly and literally only how I feel, You can feel however the hell you want, obviously. Everyone is going to feel differently. But as far as I'm concerned, since this is my full thoughts video, conspiracies are exactly that. Conspiracies. Believe whatever the hell you want. Nobody is going to stop you, including me. I can say whatever the fuck I want. It's not going to stop you from believing whatever the hell you believe in. However, I didn't really like what I personally felt was a conspiracy push. Them pushing this conspiracy theory pretty much the entire game as one of its, if not the overarching theme of the game. Because I felt they pushed this conspiracy theory a little too much. I'm just saying. Most conspiracy theories are, sure, thought provoking. I'll give them that much. But most of the time, they're bullshit. They're bullshit. Period. End of story. Full stop. They're 95% bullshit. I'm never going to say 100%, but they're 95% bullshit as far as I'm concerned. But again, believe whatever the hell you want. That's your right to believe whatever you want. I'm just telling you how I personally feel again, like I always do, that everyone hates for whatever reason, but we don't need to retread on that. Other than that, the story is goddamn amazing. It really is. The story is great from beginning to end. No complaints other than the conspiracy theory push from me. Yeah, I don't know what else you want me to say about the story of the game. It's fucking amazing. Just as good as the story from the first game. Maybe even better. Maybe even better. And you want to know why? Here's why. There's no cop-out this time. There's no cop-out this time. The twist, the truth, what they end up revealing, it didn't feel like a cop-out. It really didn't. I'm being completely serious. It all had a nice conclusion, and it didn't feel like they ran out of ideas and couldn't come up with anything, so they ass-pulled a ridiculous-ass, bullshit-ass excuse. No cop-outs. No cop-outs. Gee, I wonder what that means when it comes to how I feel on this. Believe it or not, in this particular game, which I don't think they did in the last game, although you could make that argument, I guess, with the different route, quote-unquote, endings. But there's even an alternate ending in the game that you can't really get until pretty much after you've done the real ending, quote-unquote, where not as many people die or get serial killed, so to speak. And most of the stuff that happened doesn't happen. In other words, it's resolved before any of the bad stuff happened. I have to be honest, it's weird as hell. It's weird as hell. Weird, but great in a sort of way. But it does kind of continue to push the conspiracy theory, unfortunately. But I have to give it to them. That alternate ending was unbelievably bizarre. And probably is the happiest possible ending, other than some of the other stuff that is just weird as hell. I'm just saying. That's all I can really say about the alternate ending without spoilers. So if you want to experience that alternate ending yourself, yeah, you're going to have to play the game for yourself. I'm not going to say anything else. You got to play the game, and you absolutely should fucking play the game. But I'm just personally saying the way they did that alternate ending was weird as hell, but kind of cool in a bunch of ways. Just, the conspiracy theory push, unfortunately, still, especially with that alternate ending, but I guess it is what it is, even though I don't like the conspiracy theory push, but Hopefully, you get the point. Yes, I hope you get the point. Do you remember from my last Full Thoughts video on the first AI Somnium File game what I said about the characters? It happened again. It happened again. All characters from the first game obviously return, except the ones that are dead. Obviously. They do make some references to those characters though, but they kind of can't be in a game where they're you get the point. Now, obviously, when it comes to the returning characters, Oda, Iris, Mizuki, those characters, they don't really get any more character development. But for me, honestly, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I don't care at all. All their development was done in the character development was done in the first game anyway. So that's mostly about the new and newly introduced characters this time. I know, what a shock, what a concept, right? Focus on the new characters. You already did the character development for the returning characters in the first game. However, there is one exception in this case, and it's kind of an obvious exception, and that's for Mizuki. Yep, it's for Mizuki. Mizuki does get more character development in this game. A lot more. A lot more. Some of the stuff that happened in the first game, when it comes to Mizuki, actually gets explained in the second game. Look at that. Look at that. All those loopholes nicely tied up. Nice and tight. It's goddamn amazing. Although, considering it's not really all that surprising and obviously fitting since, she's kind of a protagonist in this game that you play as. And like I mentioned earlier, Mizuki's AI ball partner is Aiba, and the dynamic between the two is literally just as good as the Date and Aiba dynamic from the first game, except without all the sexual innuendo. Wait, what? That shit is hilarious, don't get me wrong, though it's not like that's completely gone, even with Mizuki and Aiba, though it's more so with the other two. It's more so with the other two, which we have to have quite a conversation about. Yes, we have to have a very long conversation about Ryuki here. Yes, Ryuki. We have to talk about Ryuki. What I have come across and what I have heard when it comes to Ryuki specifically is a lot, and I mean a lot, of complaints about him. There are a lot of complaints about Ryuki. And don't get me wrong, honestly, they are understandable in a lot of ways. They are. I am fully admitting to you that they are very understandable. Because admittedly, he's probably the weakest of the characters in this game. Which, isn't great considering he is also one of the protagonists that you play as. But the dynamic with him and Tama is amazing and downright hilarious at times. All that sexual innuendo, if you somehow missed that, I don't know why you would. But between Aiba and Date, if you somehow missed that for whatever reason, is pretty much happens between Ryuki and Tama instead. So it's still there. It's still there, unfortunately. No, it's very funny. It's very funny. The humor in this game is back in full force, just as good as the last game. Maybe even better at times. I definitely laughed a lot. I'll admit that. I definitely laughed a lot. Yes, I did. When it comes to Ryuki, though, to go back to him, look, here's what I personally think and how I personally feel when it comes to Ryuki specifically. And it's just me, okay? It's just me. I didn't mind Ryuki overall. I didn't. I didn't. Is he the weakest character in the game? Yes. Yes, he is. I just said that. However, here's the thing when it comes to Ryuki specifically. He gets better near the end of the game, if you ask me, character-wise, and just overall. Now, if you want to make the argument that that takes too long, sure, I suppose you could make that argument, maybe. But I'm just saying. I mean, yes, he does do stupid shit and makes a lot of very blatant and very obvious My Hero Academia references. It's clearly what it is. It's clearly what it is. And, that has its haters as much as it has its fans, but it is what it is. I don't really know what to say about that. Personally, though, his character arc, for me at least, or what I got from it, seems to be the notion and the saying that, when you fall down or you get knocked down, don't stay down and feel sorry for yourself. Get up, dust yourself off, and keep going. That's the sense that I got it from it anyway. Everyone's going to probably get a different sense or feeling about it. But if you ask me what they did with Ryuki, it made sense. It did. It also makes sense that he gets better later, quote unquote, or near the end of the game. That's kind of the point of developing a character, is you develop it slowly until, they overcome whatever it is they're trying to overcome. And Ryuki deals with a shit ton. A shit ton. He really does. You can't sit there and admit that he doesn't deal with a shit ton if you have played this game or you do play this game from start to finish. That's just the situation. That's just the situation. I mean, like I said, I do understand why Ryuki might be hated as he is. He's just unfortunately the weakest character of the game for the most part. I don't know what else you want me to say when it comes to Ryuki specifically. He's definitely not the best character in the game, maybe even arguably the worst, definitely the weakest of the characters, but I didn't really mind him all that much, but that's just me. It's just how I feel. And like I literally just said before I started saying this, just like the last game did, the rest of the characters are important in one way or another. And once again, despite the amount of time given that they had for their character development, what they get is goddamn amazing again. It is. The amount of they did an unbelievably amazing job with the character development for the new characters. Again. My God, man. My God. The creator of this franchise really does seem to do a damn good job at character development. He seems to be amazing at that. For this franchise, at least. I don't know if he did it well in the other franchises he made, which is apparently the Zero Escape games, the Nonary games. But at least for AI, the Somnium Files, amazing fucking job with this character development that you are doing and the clearly short amount of time you're being given to do it. Fucking great. Keep up the great work there. Now, another thing I do have to admit to you here is that there aren't as many routes, quote unquote, as the last game, and most of them actually deal with two people or pairs instead of individuals like it did in the first game. I mean, I guess that's a bit unfortunate, Although I don't really know how else they were supposed to do it. How else were they supposed to do it? Do you really want them to do a route with every single character? I don't really think they had the time for that. They didn't. I mean, I didn't personally mind it, but if you want to say that, the game not having as many routes is a problem, then sure, that's a very legitimate complaint and criticism. I just personally didn't care about that. Sorry, I just didn't. And one more thing that I do need to say about the characters here, and once again, I have to be completely honest with you, as I normally am, brutally, that, I'm tired of saying it. Some of these characters, particularly the ones that, you know, get serial killed, you might end up feeling the same way about them that I did, which, is that they got what was coming to them and or they deserved it. I'm just letting you know. That's all I'm going to say about that, cuz again it would be spoilers and I don't want to try to give spoilers for this fucking amazing game and amazing franchise in general that you should absolutely play. And I'm going to keep repeating that, just saying. So, the world and setting of the game, there is literally not much for me to say here because it's literally the exact same as the first game. They're not going to do a different setting for a franchise, I'm just saying. Futuristic Japan with futuristic technology to help, although more specifically Tokyo, but they do make references to other parts of Japan to help solve crimes, including a sync machine, like I said before, to dive into a person's dreams, to discover their secrets and what they are trying to hide. Same AI balls and AI quote unquote type characters, including a new one, like I just said before, Aiba, and the new one being Tama. There's Tama again, there's Aiba again. They're both still great. You are informed of another one, but you never hear their voice. And well, I could tell you the excuse, but I suppose it's technically a spoiler, so it's a little unfortunate. I wanted to hear its voice and see what it looks like. Sorry, I guess I just like mascots. That's just the type of weird person I am, I guess. When it comes to the area and locations in the game, it's most of the areas from the last game with some new ones as well, with some you don't visit for kind of obvious reasons, but similar locations, same locations, new locations. Nothing really too shocking there. I mean, there's literally nothing else for me to say here when it comes to the world and setting. Sorry. I didn't really have a problem with the world and setting in the first game. I don't have a problem with it in its sequel. It's great. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. It's great. Love it. So the graphics are also the same as the last game with an anime like quote unquote art style. But if you know anything about me, you know I like me some anime, so I was fine with it. I'm perfectly fine with it. If you don't like that kind of stuff, then you won't like it, obviously. Just saying, everyone likes different things. What a concept. Look, there are some anime like games that I don't play. It just depends on the game and the type of game that it is. But for this game, I loved it. They did improve things a bit slightly. The models of Aiba and Tama were improved, or at least Aiba. Tama's obviously new, but I'm just saying that those models will slightly improved. Nothing to really complain about here from me. It is a visual novel, like I said previously, so this type of art style, an anime like art style, it just makes sense. I'm sorry, it just does, and I like it. It's what I've noticed for most visual novels. Ace Attorney, Danganronpa, Steins Gate, the other visual novels. I mean, a lot of visual novels get anime adaptations. What do you expect? Like, seriously, what do you expect? So it just makes sense. Sorry, it just does. Digimon Survive had an anime like art style and literally had anime cutscenes. I don't know what else you want me to say here. I like it. I like it. But obviously, like I said, everyone's going to feel differently. Some people are going to claim it's too weeby or weeb like. Nice insult there. That doesn't affect me in the slightest. Um, I like anime, okay? If it depends on the game and the type of game, obviously, but it doesn't bother me in the slightest. There are a bunch of anime art style like games I don't play. Like the video games they make based off of anime, I don't play. I'd rather just watch the anime. Completely different situation. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but each situation is different. Even the new upcoming dot hack game looks like it has an anime like art style. But that's what that series is known for, so yeah, just saying. Finally, the gameplay. One thing that I didn't put on my notes here that I do need to mention is that I'm going to let you know right now this is not a game that you can start and stop and then come back to it at a later time. Because if you try to do that, you're going to be confused. You have to play it from start to end and not chop it up into pieces, so to speak. No pun intended. So if you start the game and then stop it and get distracted by another game and then try to come back to it at some point, that's not going to end well. It's not going to end well for you. Because you're going to be very confused. You will forget a lot of things, if not everything. And you're going to feel like nothing was explained. When that's not the case in the slightest. You have to play it from start to end. And not break it up into pieces and get distracted by other games. I'm just letting you know. This is definitely not a game you can start and stop. I mean, maybe that was the case with the first game, though I kind of feel like it wasn't, but most definitely with this game, you can't start and stop it. I'm just letting you know. And I know I'm being a broken record when it comes to gameplay and this entire thing in general, but I kind of have to be in this specific case. The gameplay is still the same as the last game with a bit more 3D type explorations and environments. The upgrade or the new 3D environments that you can explore is basically the crime scenes now. Sometimes in a virtual reality VR recreation of the crime scene environment to gather clues and try to figure out what happened. I liked this quite a bit, honestly. That was fucking great. I loved that quite a bit. It makes me kind of wish they did that in the first game. I'm just saying. That was amazing. I loved that. So what I had heard is apparently the Somniums were harder. The Somnium, when you dive into people's dreams, the Somniums, that gimmick that I explained to you about in the last video about AI, the Somnium Files, the first game, apparently they were harder. Yeah, I didn't want to put up with that. Not at all. This game has difficulty options, unlike the last game. So I played it on the easiest difficulty. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, it helped me with the QTE QuickTime event things that were in the game. Yep, they're back. They're back. Fortunately or unfortunately. So, because I played it on that difficulty, I wasn't as frustrated with them as I was in the last game. Not everyone can react that fast in 1 second. Just saying. You can't react to something in 1 second. Just saying. Just saying. I don't care. I don't care. It helped my experience. That's all that matters to me. Besides, the guide that I used to get the platinum trophy, which I did get, yay, another platinum, said to play it on the easiest difficulty to avoid possible issues and struggles, especially in the Somniums. Yeah, that's what I did. Play it however you want. Play it on whatever difficulty you want. I'm also allowed to play it on whatever difficulty I want. So there you go. What I will admit, though, is if the Somniums were harder, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry, it just is. I mean, the Somniums being too easy, was that really a complaint about the last game? I don't want things to be hard. Everyone should know this about me by now. That's not what I want in the slightest. I want less stress and less frustration, not more. I am not playing video games to be more stressed and more frustrated. Just saying. Just saying. Because if things are stressful and overly frustrating, that's a problem. That's an issue. Just saying. I don't care. I don't care. Gameplay was great, as always. It's a visual novel. What do you expect? That's the gameplay you're gonna get. I loved the VR sections, the recreations. That was fucking great. Great improvement there. Like I said, it's a visual novel. I don't know what you're expecting. A lot of reading, but just like before, it's practically done for you with voice acting. Gee, I wish that was done more with visual novels. Jeez. Improvements from the last game with one musical theme that's probably the best song I've heard in this entire goddamn franchise thus far. It's called Novel Ingress. Look it up on YouTube. Goddamn amazing. Goddamn amazing. Before I say anything overall, here's your wonderful Metacritic score. I'm not going to bring up the other game to compare the two. I'm just showing you the Metacritic score since that is somehow an obsession. So overall, I have to be honest here like I normally am. I don't know why some people don't like this game as much as the first game. I don't. I do kind of feel like it might probably be because of the new protagonists that you play as, which I do understand. It's not that I don't. I do understand that to an extent. But look, you can't be emotionally attached to certain characters. You just can't. That's like saying you want to play as the same character in the Final Fantasy franchise or the Persona franchise. What? Are you serious? Are you joking? Do you kind of see the problem now? I know it's not the best comparison, but I'm just saying. It's not like Date isn't there. He is. He literally is. You just don't play as him. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. For me personally, and everyone's gonna feel differently, I loved this game more than the first game. than the first AI Somnium File game. I'm sorry, I just did. I liked it more than the first game. I'm sorry. Because there wasn't a cop out. That definitely had something to do with it. No cop out this time. Thank you. Fucking thank you. It was an improvement in many aspects overall. But that's just how I personally feel. Obviously, and everyone's going to feel differently. My only massive real problem with it, like I said, is the conspiracy theory push. I felt the game was shoving down my throat, so to speak. That was literally it. That was literally it. That was the only major problem. Everything else was fucking fantastic and amazing. Loved the shit out of it. I wish I had known about this franchise sooner. Although maybe it's good that I didn't find out about it until later because of how long it took for another game to be made. Though there are apparently problems with it, a lot more than these two games, but we'll get to that in probably 2+ years. And yeah, I'm talking about No Sleep for Kaname Date. That was literally it. That was literally it. Other than that, I liked it more than the first game. I'm sorry, I just did. I just did. This shit's wrong. This shit's wrong. Just saying. I did actually put in some effort and I went back to see what my personal score for the first AI Somnium File game was, which was an 8.8, which means I have to score it higher. Which means my personal score for AI the Somnium Files nirvanA initiative is a solid 9.0 out of 10. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking great. It's just the conspiracy theory push that bothered me the most. That was the only problem. Literally the only problem. Yes, Ryuki isn't that great, but he's better at the end. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like I keep repeating, like I keep saying, this is just how I personally feel. It's only how I personally feel. Everyone's going to feel differently. Everyone's going to think differently. That's fine. That's kind of the point of having an opinion. For me, this is better than the first game. I'm sorry, it just is. It's better than the first game. And even though I've only played 3 games this year, if you want to count Pokemon Scarlet, if you don't want to count Pokemon Scarlet, it's 2 years. I mean, I finished Pokemon Scarlet this year. It kind of has to count. But either way, this is the best game I've played all year this far. But it's only March. It's literally only March. We've got a shit ton of time left in the year. A shit ton of time left for other games to be better than this. Because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Do you remember what I said in my most anticipated video last year about what my most anticipated game is that I will actually play? Do you remember what that was? It was Final Fantasy XVI. Do I have a bias towards Final Fantasy? Yes. Yes, I do. But I just scored this game better than Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. That I gave a 7.5. So each game is different. But I do have a bias towards Final Fantasy, and I'm literally admitting my bias to you. Everyone has a bias. My feeling right now, in all genuine, brutal honesty, is if I actually get around to playing Final Fantasy XVI this year, if I play it this year, and if I beat it this year, my feeling as of right now, in March of 2026, is this game is cooked, so to speak, if you want to use that wonderful lingo. This game is screwed. This game is fucked. This game is cooked. But you never know. You never know. I like action games. I'm sorry. I like Final Fantasy games. I'm sorry. You fuse that shit together, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I could be completely wrong, and yes, that's a very real possibility, and I'm not going to deny that possibility. My feeling right now is if I play Final Fantasy XVI this year, this game is cooked. We'll see. We'll see. It's just unfortunate, really. It really is. It's unfortunate that this may end up being the exact same situation as last year for this franchise. It is what it is. It is what it is. My next game is Bayonetta, the Gooner game. Wait, what? Bayonetta 1 specifically. The Nintendo Switch version, just so you know, which I will be playing on my Switch 2. So finally, I will be playing a game on my Switch 2, so that's going to be interesting. I didn't find an upgrade for it, so we'll see how that works. So yeah, it's Bayonetta 1. It does have a tough, quote-unquote, difficulty rating on Game FAQs, which means I'm playing it on easy. I'm sorry. I hate struggling. I just explained this to you. I don't know what else you want me to say about that and say here. So I'll see this game for myself and experience it for myself. It is apparently mostly an action game, so hopefully I'll enjoy it. I don't know. I don't know. I'll let you know, obviously. I will most certainly let you know. But there you go, my full thoughts for AI, the Somnium Files, nirvanA initiative, the story of the game, the characters, the world of the game, and the setting, the graphics, and the gameplay. Unless these rumblings of a general, not an indie and not a partner direct, a general Nintendo Direct is accurate and true for this month, you probably won't hear from me again until I do my full thoughts video for Bayonetta. But if there is one, maybe. I mean, I could have done something from the state of play, but I just didn't really feel it was all that worth it. I am interested in Project Windless, but that literally doesn't even have a title, so it's not coming out anytime soon. And I am buying the physical version of Rayman 30th Anniversary Edition, so that's really all I have to say about that. That state of play was very enjoyable, though, I will at least admit that much. But unless there's enough for me to talk about from maybe a general Nintendo Direct this year, though I will believe it when it's officially announced, obviously, then I'll see you for my full thoughts on Bayonetta. And as always, this is Mega Champ saying next time I'll be providing you with more unlimited guidance. Iba, Tama, Cube from Live Alive, Astrobot from Astrobot, and the Near drones. The only ones that are robots with rights. And I totally stole that from someone on Discord. I'm sorry. Okay, bye. Oh, jeez. Bye.